Hello, you're watching BBC News. The time now it's 5:30. Let's get up to date with the latest news summary. The government says it intends to rethink a proposal by the Justice Secretary to halve prison terms for some criminals who plead guilty early. The plan by Ken Clarke was met with widespread criticism, and it's emerged that ministers are now reassessing the proposal. The Labour leader, Ed Miliband, described the government's policy on sentencing in England and Wales as a total mess. Turkish emergency services have been crossing into Syria to rescue people wounded in anti-government protests. The Turkish government says it's keeping its border open to allow hundreds of refugees to flee a violent crackdown by Syrian troops. Britain and France are seeking a UN resolution to condemn the violence. 3,000 jobs are to go at Britain's largest care home operator, Southern Cross Healthcare. The company provides services to residents in 750 care homes across the country. It says the move won't jeopardise the quality of care provided, but the GMB union says it will be a disaster for residents. The Japanese car maker Nissan says it will build the next version of its Qashqai model in Britain, safeguarding 6,000 jobs. The employers group, the CBI, said the decision is great news for the UK economy. The 2012 Olympics torch has been officially unveiled. The golden cone has a perforated shell and is light enough to be carried by youngsters. Its curved triangular shape symbolises the 3 times that London has staged the Games, in 1908, 1948 and of course next year in 2012. Right, let's get more now on our main story and the increasing violence in Syria. Hundreds of refugees are fleeing to Turkey, fearing a government massacre in the town of Cizre, where there have been reports of a mutiny by Syrian troops. Well, this evening, Britain and France will ask the UN Security Council to condemn the crackdown. Obeida Nahas is the director of the Levant Institute, a Syrian think tank based in London, with us in the studio now. Good evening to you. Thank you very much for being with us. I don't know how easy you found it to get through to people in this town. What's the latest you're hearing?
The latest I just got before coming in by relatives of people in the town is that the town is being deserted by people right now. People are either crossing the border or going somewhere else. Some people have houses in villages nearby, but they're also afraid that the army might go after them over there. The thing is, they feel that there is a conspiracy being planned. Although the government speaks of a conspiracy by gang groups, but it seems the conspiracy is coming from the army.
What do you mean by that?
The 4th Division of the army, led by the president's brother, is actually responsible for what happened in another 2 cities on the borders on the south, in Daraa, the Jordanian borders, and then Tel Kalakh on the Lebanese borders on the west, and now Jisr Shore on the north. This is very, very dangerous because the government is trying to say there is arms smuggling going on, there's a conspiracy by neighboring countries, and that there are armed groups killing people, while this is not true. 120 soldiers in one day. This is bizarre.
You don't believe it?
No, I mean, yesterday they increased the number to 300. It seems every time they talk about that large number of soldiers, they end up planning for an invasion and a destruction of some part of the city and killing more civilians.
Why do you think that, though, that if what we understand that there has been increased violence there, and perhaps more violence there than anywhere else, why in this particular city has there been such a rebellion?
Well, I don't think there was violence by the people. There was some rebellion within the army itself. Some soldiers refused to shoot at innocent people, and they were shot by soldiers and officers from the 4th Division. I don't think there was specifically increased violence in Jisr Shur. It's just a scenario that's traveling from one place to another in the country. The government wants to crack down on peaceful protesters, and it's sending out 2 messages. One to the West to say, we are a target of terrorism, you have to help us, but it's not playing as it used to be. And the other is to the people. If you go out to protest in peace, we won't really think of you this way. We will kill you until you stop.
So how do you see this unfolding?
I'm afraid that the international community is witnessing a massacre in the making right now in Jisr Shur. We have seen massacres committed in Daraa, for example, and mass graves proved that. There were already 3 mass graves discovered. We don't know how many more will be, and we are afraid. I mean, the refugees who crossed the border, we're talking mainly women and children. We're talking about horrific pictures and scenes in the city. People are afraid, and if the West doesn't press, I mean, okay, Britain and France are going to the UN Security Council. It's too late already. Are we going to see anything about bringing criminals against humanity to the ICC, or is it too early to say that? That's
isn't the problem, though, a more diplomatic one, that you've got countries who may have been prepared to line up to condemn Libya, but for whatever reasons, geostrategic reasons, economic reasons, are not prepared to do the same when it comes to Syria?
Well, this is unfortunate, because we are in the age of international human rights now. It's not the old age of the Cold War, where people used to just give a blind eye to what happened. We had a massacre back in 1982, which no one heard of for weeks. But this is not 1982, this is 2011. It's a different world, and people have to understand that we shouldn't be witnesses to such a massacre anymore.
Okay, Obeida Nahas, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you very much indeed.